Hello, everybody. Welcome along to Sportsbet TV. It's exciting to be with you here as we build up to the Christmas period. Paul Alster with you, as always, looking ahead to the weekend's action and four meetings scheduled in Britain on Saturday. There's no Irish racing Saturday. And I've got a couple of free selections for you. So I hope you're going to stick with me for those two selections. If you are joining me for the very first time on this YouTube channel, please press the subscribe button just below the screen, and then you'll be able to stay in touch for all my free selections as we go forward into 2024. Well, I gave you a couple of selections last weekend for Nambola Sivola, who I tipped to finish in the first three for those betting three places. Landed the place money at Cheltenham. He ran well, finishing third, but Nayati didn't do anywhere near as well in his race. So overall, to the recommended £10 each way stakes, or the notional ones, I'm not saying to you you should have £10 each way on everything I say. You bet what you can afford to bet and what is comfortable for you. But it would have been a £15 loss last weekend. But over December so far, from six selections, we're currently £65 up to level stakes on those terms, with a winner, a 10 to 1 winner, and two places from the six selections so far. Next weekend, I'll be going through my stats for 2023, where it's been a roller coaster year as ever when you're tipping at decent prices. But I'm happy to say that I believe, we have finished quite nicely ahead. One thing I can tell you, though, is that Out in Front, my subscription service on Patreon, 2023 has been a tremendous year. Like all racing and tipping, you have good periods and bad periods, but if you play the long game, especially at decent prices, then you have a proper chance to win if you're following decent advice. And I've got four selections for you for Saturday over at Out in Front, so those are definitely worth checking out and considering joining me for that. But what I can tell you is that at Out in Front, as of today, the 22nd of December, to the level £10 each way recommended stakes, all bets, I am £1,226 in profit. That is a fabulous profit for a hobby. Um, and I know that a lot of people that are with us Out in Front are enjoying it and enjoying being along for the ride. You should think about joining us too. Give yourself an early Christmas present. It's £25 a month. There's no tie-in. You can stay with me as long as you want or as short as you want. But it's definitely worth considering because it's a shame to miss out, especially on profits once again. Very, very big profit, £1,226 coming into the last 10 days of the calendar year. Right, well, I'm going to take you on to the two free selections I have for you here. And they're both at Haydock on Saturday, where the going is reportedly very, very testing. It's heavy ground. And my first selection is at Haydock in the 130, the 3 mile, 1 furlong, Tommy Whittle handicap chase. There are 9 runners. It is going to be a slog. They won't be moving very quickly at the end of this race, I tell you that much. But it's a good race. The race was abandoned last year, but the previous year, 2021, on card won for Dr. Richard Newland, and he's back for more. The good doctor having taken out a joint license now with Jamie Insole, the former decent amateur rider, and he's now sharing the license with Richard Newland. So Card is back to defend his crown. He didn't have a good time of things last season. He rather lost his way, but because of that, he's come down the weights. And he took advantage of that first time this term at Warwick 6 weeks ago, where on his first run since a breathing operation, he stayed on really bravely to just scramble home. He's gone up £4 for that, but is still quite well weighted on the pick of his old form. So I would say he's going to be a danger to all with ground conditions to suit. Now, Famous Bridge for Nicky Richards and Credo, trained by Anthony Honeyball, they did battle over this course and distance 4 weeks ago in soft ground, and they produced a tremendous finish, with Famous Bridge just getting the better of the argument by a length from Credo, who rallied really well in the closing stages, and he's now £3 better off. So there really shouldn't be anything at all between them, which makes it a puzzle why last time I looked, they were betting 5 to 2 Famous Bridge and 5 to 1 Credo. It's hard to separate them in my view. I'd have them similar prices really at around 7 or 2 the pair if it was me. Last season's Topham Trophy winner over the Grand National Fences was Bill Baxter. Do you remember him winning at Aintree? Bill Baxter for Warren Great Rex. He's now £7 higher in the weights. And to be fair to him, he ran well to be eighth to That's All Right Gino in the old Hennessy Gold Cup at Newbury a few weeks ago. But once again, in my view, he didn't really genuinely stay 3.25 miles. And that was on better ground. So quite how he's going to get home in this really heavy ground, I'm not sure. Maybe he'll surprise us. But my selection here is a mare called Eleanor Bob. And Eleanor Bob is trained by the informed Venetia Williams and ridden by the very much informed amateur rider Lucy Turner, who claims £5. Now, this mare is getting a lot of weight from those above her in the market, and she's also competing on ground she really relishes. She was really quite progressive in the 2021-22 season once she switched to fences. She won a race at Chepstow and she won again at Huntingdon, both times in soft ground over just about 3 miles. And she was favourite to complete a hat-trick at Fontwell in March of 2022 when she took a really nasty fall. And probably because of that, she was out the whole of last season. She just wasn't seen. But she's obviously recovered because after a massive 626 days off, that's about 21 months, she reappeared over course and distance in that race won by Famous Bridge, in which Credo was second. And she was absolutely skipping along at the head of affairs and still in front between the final two fences. It was there that I judge that the lack of a previous outing just caught up with her. But she kept going. She kept on in good style. She finished fourth. She was beaten about 5 lengths or so. And I'm not at all worried that she can turn the form around. I really think she can because Lucy Turner is claiming those £5. She's running off a very, very light weight. And Lucy, by the way, you remember, has won the Beecher Chase already this month on Chambard. She's only had 4 other rides this month, and 2 of them have won at good prices. So she's absolutely flying. And of course, you remember her winning on Chambard at the Cheltenham Festival a few seasons ago. So don't worry about the jockey. She's perfectly up to it if the horse is good enough. And carrying just 10 stone 1 in this ground is going to be a big asset. So at 6 to 1 offered each way with Bet365, I think she's the one to be on. Eleanor Bob in the Tommy Whittle Chase. And so to my second selection at Haydock, just half an hour later, the 205, a competitive 2-mile handicap hurdle, heavy ground, only 8 runners, not a huge number of runners as we've noted quite a few times of late in the National Hunt sphere, but enough for us to bet each way. And Oliver Greenall and Josh Guerrero, who have had such a brilliant time of things, apart from, of course, losing their star performer at Cheltenham last week in the cross-country chase, which was very, very sad to see. But they've got a horse here called Jaguar, who was entered to run on Friday in a decent race at Ascot, but they chose instead to bring this JP McManus gelding to Haydock after only 2 career starts. And he's got his handicap debut here off 119, priced up early at 11 to 4, and that's on the strength of a defeat, beaten only ahead though in an Aintree maiden hurdle on his debut in Britain 8 weeks ago. He was formerly trained for 1 race in France. So he's a horse that you really have a problem assessing. Very little form to go on, only 1 British run, first time in a handicap, but he's with the right people. He's got the right owner who, of course, likes a punt. And so you have to respect it. But I wouldn't want to be taking the favourite's price. Bois Gilbert for Lucinda Russell, second favourite, already proved himself a really consistent sort. He won at Ayr and Wetherby last season, and then he opened his account in handicap company at Kelso this October. He wasn't disgraced when he was third at Cheltenham off his revived mark behind the well-thought-of Blue King Daru. And like Jaguar, he's only a 4-year-old, so I think there could be plenty of improvement in him. For me, though, the testing ground might stretch him a little bit, and that's why I'm inclined to oppose Bois Gilbert. And then we've got Risque d'Argent for Alster Ralph, who appeared to handle soft ground well on his reappearance at Warwick 6 weeks ago. He was second there to Tarahumara and has gone up £3. Also likely to be on the premises is the Churchill lad for Rebecca Menzies. Really tough sort, the Churchill lad, who I thought showed signs of coming right back to his best at Musselburgh last time, ridden positively from the front. And he was only just run out of it close home. Um, but I'd be a little bit concerned about the deep ground for a horse called Bubble Doobie for Stuart Edmonds, who I think has been seen so far to be better on a sounder surface. And then Donald McCain, well, good old Donald, Ginger's son, of course, who's taken the stable from strength to strength in the last couple of decades. He does really well at Haydock, pretty much a local track. He's got two in this race. One is called Word Has It, who will like the conditions. He's won on heavy ground at Fontwell last time, but I think this is a tougher task. And so my selection is Donald McCain's other runner, Goobinator. Love this name, Goobinator, with Theo Gillard on board. And Gubinator is a horse who goes on any ground, but he has a particularly good record on a heavy surface. He won on heavy ground at Ayr in October of 2020, and he also won last time out when he'd been off the track for 528 days. They switched him to the flat. He made just about all the running and saw them off in good style over a mile and a half in heavy ground at Catterick off a mark of 83. Now, that victory after such a long layoff shows he's got plenty of ability still. Um, and I'm really pleased that Donald McCain has given him about an 8-week break. So after that very long absence, he's got just about 2 months to recover and get over it in order to be as fresh as possible for this race, fresh and well. Now, when he last ran a couple of seasons over hurdles, he was really competitive off higher marks than Saturday. So the 122 that he runs off, I think, gives him a real chance. And I think he'll get rolling along out in front in this heavy ground. And it's hard to pick up in that ground if you're a little way behind. So I think he'll have them on full stretch. And at 15-2 each way, when I last looked with Bet Victor, Coral and Ladbrokes, I think he's got a proper chance, Goobinator. So those are my two for the weekend, my two for Christmas. I hope you have a brilliant Christmas and enjoy yourselves and enjoy the racing. If you want to follow my tips for the Christmas period, I'll be tipping every day between Boxing Day and New Year's Day. And then, of course, going on into all the big meetings and weekends at Out in Front. Remember to check out the link in the description box just below this screen. It'd be great to have you on board in time for tomorrow, or if not, in time for Boxing Day and all that fantastic racing coming up next week, including, of course, the Kempton King George meeting, Chepstow's Welsh National fixture, the 4 days of Leopardstown, Marvellous Card at Newbury as well, and then we've got Cheltenham New Year's Day and so on. So much to look forward to. But for now, I want to thank you as always for supporting this channel. Spread the word. Have a wonderful Christmas, and I look forward to speaking to you again same time next week. Bye-bye for now.